Vergil Ortiz is now amicably back, we're to assume, with Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya. They will come to their own settlement outside the what was going to be settled in September. They're doing it on their own terms now outside of the court. Well, to me, it looked like what was attempted to happen was Rick Marigian wanted to backdoor Vergil Ortiz to Zuffa, who's handing out the money like they did to Shakur Stevenson and Conor Benn. And because Oscar didn't have his extension in place yet with DAZN, that there was that clause in his contract that Oscar had to have a network deal, it was thought. But apparently it was the word was relationship. And Oscar still had an ongoing relationship and then inevitably did land his extension with DAZN. So he was probably on his way to retaining Vergil Ortiz, which is why he is retaining Vergil Ortiz right now. So however amicable it is, there we are. Now, the problem is with Vergil Ortiz, he has missed out on the Boots Ennis fight, and now he's in danger of missing out on Sebastian Fundora, as Fundora's promoter, Samson Lukowicz, says they are looking to target the Jaron Ennis fight next. Vergil Ortiz Sr. replied to something I said on Twitter because I said, Raheem, it's clear to me what needs to happen. Vergil needs to land the Fundora fight. As Boots Ennis has said, Vergil's at the back of the line now. I want to be undisputed. He doesn't have a belt. So I'm looking at Josh Kelly for the IBF and Fundora for the WBC. Eddie Hearn is talking up getting him the Kelly fight, but he also said he'll talk to DAZN. And maybe what DAZN wants is Vergil after all. And maybe what Boots wants, because Bozy has said over the weekend in LA that Boots, his first option, would want to be Fundora, which makes sense because that would, respect to Josh Kelly, but that would basically all but crown an undisputed champion between Boots and Fundora right now, the top two guys in the division. But I still think if Eddie's going to go ahead and have to make the Josh Kelly fight next, who fights this Saturday, and Fundora still has his mandatory due, then there's still time to act for Team Ortiz to land the Fundora fight. But Vergil Ortiz Sr., he tells me on Twitter, it's not going to happen, Sean, because Samson keeps blocking the fight with his relationship with the WBC. And Samson goes on social media, leaves a statement saying what Team Ortiz did to Golden Boy was basically reprehensible, and he has missed out on the fight, and we will look to do the Boots Ennis fight next and not Vergil Ortiz. So this is making Vergil Ortiz out of the lucrative options if this is all what's going to happen. But I would contend that there is still a guy on Team Ortiz that could pull some strings to get him the Fundora fight, but that guy wouldn't be Rick Marigian, the guy they've been letting quarterback his career lately. It would have to be probably Oscar De La Hoya. I think Oscar De La Hoya, a phone call to Mauricio goes different. By the way, I understand critics of all this would point out this is all ridiculous, that who your manager is, who your promoter is, rankings aren't supposed to work that way. Obviously so, right? But with the way it does work, I think if you can make some amends with De La Hoya might have a lot more success landing that Sebastian Fundora fight. But when Vergil Jr. talks about it, he almost sounds like he's given up all hope on that. And I don't like that. Give it the old college try again. Now that the band is all back together, have De La Hoya reach out, see if you can make that fight, because I think it's very possible. I think because PBC and Golden Boy have done Benavidez Zurdo in recent times, and another fight that escapes me right now. They've done a number of fights over the last couple of years and seem to have a better working relationship than they did when it was strained all those years ago when Heyman took the fighters and Oscar missed out on everyone but Canelo. I think it's a different ball game now. So try to land the Fundora fight and get some hardware so that Boots Ennis can't become undisputed without fighting you. And it's time to put in some work. Boots is, everybody wants to see Boots and Vergil, and that's the fight Ortiz is still talking about. But Boots is now a two-time unified champion in two different divisions, and you've yet to wrap your hands around a full world title. So I like the Ortiz Fundora fight while Boots maybe lands the Josh Kelly fight next. But what do you make of all this fallout with Vergil Ortiz now?
I mean, as we said and predicted, Oscar had the cards in this Ortiz standoff. He made a great play and presented himself well as a promoter who's in the game and knows how it's played. He outmaneuvered the management for Ortiz. It definitely cost all parties involved. And now he needs to make the hat trick. Oscar needs to step on the gas and do the job of a real world-class promoter and pull one of these fights out of the hat. He needs to get Ortiz in line for a world title. He needs to make sure that Ortiz is not left out of this musical chairs. And that is on the promoter. That is the moment where Oscar can really flex and show that he's got relationships with more than just the network, but with other promoters, and being able to pull something together while it's really possible that Ortiz gets left out in the cold. And that's a shame. Regardless of who was right or wrong, I understand the play from the Ortiz side. Like, listen, if you're not sure to have a TV deal, a relationship is not a deal, and it looked like Oscar was on the ropes there for a minute, and if there's a lot of money coming down the pike from Zuffa, and you can be the man over there and make, and at that point, the Boots fight hadn't happened yet, so Boots wasn't champion in that division either, and the pickings were out there still for Zayas. Like, I understand them looking at the landscape and being like, listen, we can't take no chances that we're stuck with a promoter with no network, no world title, no ability to get us in a world title fight, and we end up out on the cold for that reason, and they're not getting along, and whatever I can see them making sure that they try to keep all their options open, and in that space, they kind of stepped on their own pee-pees. You know what I mean? So this is now the Golden Boy moment. And if I'm Ortiz, all grudges are out the window. It's not Oscar on Instagram talking about, we're good. No, it's me out there like, yo, I'm a Golden Boy fighter. I'm still with Rick. We want these world titles. I'm calling you out. I want the fight. We missed, one round of musical chairs, and I'm trying to make up the time. Like, everybody needs to be, who's in the Ortiz business, needs to be putting their best foot forward and stepping on the gas to get him back in play. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. Mm-hmm. Either Kelly or Fundora, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? The fun fight for me would be Zayas, but Ortiz don't got time for that. You know what I mean? That to me, that puts him a step behind, and it just allows Ennis to run the table. So where I would kind of like to see, I actually want to see Ortiz and Zayas, but I want to see it.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. That would have been fun up until Boots Ennis just took those two straps off of him.
Well, okay, but to your point, yes. And
they could fight at 160 down the road. Zayas got to move up to 60, and Vergil's got to find a way to a title fight at 54 right now. They could do that later.
I'm just saying I want to see it. And it's not like I got to see it right now, but I do. I'm not taking Zayas out the game or off the table or like, oh, we don't need to see him. I'd like to see him still in the mix. I don't think he's dead or done or dusted, right? I think the Ortiz fight will be an interesting one. But as I just said, there's no time for that for Ortiz. And if in fact it can turn into Ortiz Ennis for undisputed, then everybody wins. Yes. That's the massive fight that we need to get to for a super fight night. That's the thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I won't say shocked, but I'm a bit disappointed and a little bit like, well, where's the air in this balloon? Where's the helium? I would have thought as soon as these two parties in Ortiz and Oscar, or Golden Boy and whatever, and Rick got on the same page, that my whole feed would be full of Ortiz and them trying to work every angle to get his name back out there, get people talking about the potential fight, put pressure on Kelly or Fundora, be in talks with Eddie, like everything they could possibly do to make this the conversation. And I really haven't seen that.
Yeah, well, Oscar's perspective, he feels cheated on, and now the wife is coming back home. Awkward. And for on the other side, it's, we felt mistreated, so we stepped out on you. We wanted to step out on you, so double awkward. But
yeah, but that ain't your wife, man. You got a stable of hoes.
Yeah.
He ain't married to nobody. You got to run your brothle.
You know the
Like,
game.
What I mean? She tried it on the street. The money wasn't there. You went out there, got your girl back, like, come back into the house, and now you got to get that money. This is one of your bottom ones.
Jesus.
You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are your wife? What are we talking about? No, Canelo was your wife. You've been divorced a long time.
Okay. All right, but
are we keeping that, or do we need to?
No, you're good. It's just I'm done. I'm ducking the smoke on that one. That's all you, brother. Back to the topic at hand, which that the fight, the one critique I had of Ennis and Ortiz last year, when everybody, this might be the best fight in boxing. It's for an interim belt, though. Yeah, we think for the most part, Sebastian Fundora has something to say about all this. He does, and especially as he's improved as a fighter, as a champion lately. But the consensus is most would say the fight at this weight class is Boots Ennis and Vergil Ortiz. That was a consensus late last year, and that's why people wanted to go ahead and push through and make it happen on DAZN's end, on both ends. But the drawback of the fight is, what are they fighting for? There's an interim belt. That fight deserves more than that. So, like you said, if it ends up being for undisputed, then all's well that ends well. Now that fight really is the super fight, sold out venue in Vegas, pound for pound supremacy on the line, a top 5 spot, undisputed top 5 fighter in the world, pound for pound, undisputed champion at 154, a true star-making performance for the winner. Now we're talking. Now that fight gets the pedigree it deserves alongside the talent that would be in the ring between two elite fighters in Jerron and
Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mexican Independence Day weekend, absolutely. And I think we're gonna get Ortiz and Fundora. I just do. I think that's just a fight that I've been feeling like since last year. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen before Ennis fights Fundora for the WBC. I could be wrong, but God is my witness. I just got a feeling we're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get Fundora and Ortiz. Huh?
That's the best. That's the best possible scenario, because it puts Fundora, assuming that Ortiz were to win that fight, and we are on our way to undisputed between those two. If he's got Fundora in his resume, I mean, now that's a great setup for undisputed. I think if it were to go the other route and it's Kelly, I mean, it's still great. It's still, but we won't have seen him do the thing at the level where we really are giving him a better chance than we otherwise would against Ennis. If he goes out there and beats Fundora, and then Ennis, while being unified but having beaten Zayas to get there, I mean, you can't really say that one has the superior resume at the division, beating those champions over the other. That to me is a better setup for that undisputed ultimately.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that it's even, and I know Mauricio would be able to hide around, well, the legal problems started with Vergil Ortiz and yada yada, and that, so how can we mandate a fight where a guy's in court with his promoter and blah 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 blah. But Ortiz had been the interim champion since late last year, since the second half of 2025, and the WBC never did its job of just mandating the fucking fight. And so actually, when Vergil Sr. said, "Why don't you ask Sampson why he even has essentially the authority to block a fight between Vergil and Fundora?" I said, well, the bigger question would be, why hasn't the WBC done their job and mandated the fight? Like, forget Sampson for a minute. It's really a question for the WBC. So it's they need to do that. They need to make
we're in that era. We mentioned that on, I think, the last show. Like, we're in that era. The sanctioning bodies are reading the room. And it's going to be a lot harder for a mid-level contender who has maybe put the work in and could be legitimately mandatory to get those mandatory shots now, especially if there's a bigger fight to be made. Like, right now, it's from the sanctioning body's perspective, I believe they are 100% looking at not only where they can get the biggest 3% chunk, but also how they can keep their belts prominent, relevant, and fighters want to fight for them. And when you see the WBC on the line, you see the WBA, even the WBO, that it's a big fight, that it's a fight you want to see, that it's a fight at least that sets up the big fight. I think, long gone at the moment are the days of guys you never heard of being mandatory in the sanctioning body, forcing them to fight some, guy who is likely to lose, who's, legitimately mandatory if you look at the record, but not the big fight that people want. Right now, those are the guys Zufas are scooping up. And the sanctioning bodies are making the big fights. That's what it is right now. And if that's what it is, then let's get to playing.
Yeah, let's get this fight made with Ortiz and Fundora. And Ortiz needs to have a fight ready, a comeback fight, because you don't want to fight Fundora over a year out of the ring. You don't. And Fundora, it hasn't been announced what the date is. Maybe it's September. Maybe it's next month, or September or October. But, get to that fight like now. Like, have it announced as soon as possible before the year's over, and get in the ring October. Really, about around October, maybe November, but get in the ring, get your tune-up out of the way so you're not coming into a Fundora fight cold off a year, and really already have the Fundora fight in place thereafter. Before you even get to that comeback tune-up fight, already have the Fundora fight ironed out. Do what you got to do on your team. Have Oscar talk to Mauricio, do what you got to do, but have the Fundora fight in place. Get that domino ready to fall in your favor, because you cannot have Jaron Ennis land that fight, and then you're done. You're out of the game at 154. He's going to just land Josh Kelly thereafter. What you got to have happen is set up the Fundora fight, get that in motion right now, get your tune-up fight in motion, get Fundora basically penciled in for the first half of next year. So then Ennis has to fight Kelly, and then Ennis will have 3 belts to your 1, but we know no matter how many bullshit decisions the WBC does, the green belt is the equalizer. The green belt is the glamour belt for however much longer it will exist at the rate we're going at. It is the glamour belt, and that'll be your equalizer, and that is what would make Ennis and Ortiz for undisputed. And again, Raheem, a lot of people are saying that Ortiz, his team, and him played himself, and it does go back to a point I had. They didn't want to fight for market value against Ennis. They wanted the turkey sugar daddy money. They wanted it for what the price was originally going to be. I think $7 million. And once they came, after, I think they may have got that from Madrimov, something like that, or 6.5. So that's part of why they wanted to leave Oscar. Oh, now we're seeing 2 or 3 guaranteed on the table instead of double that. And Oscar's saying, well, I'm not turkey. This is actual market value for the fight. I believe Xander and Boots' market guarantees for their fight was $3 million to fight each other. Xander said, sign me up. That's good enough for me. Boots said, sign me up. That's good enough for me. And now he's rewarded with the leverage and the positioning. And that's why Eddie's saying yesterday's price is not today's price. And so that's how the cookie crumbled. But all is not lost. Land that Fundora fight. That fight will be a guaranteed fight of the year kind of candidate. You might lose because Fundora is a fucking problem for anybody. But I think I'd still give him the slightest of edges to win that fight. And then if it happens, then everything people were trying to say last year that, it's the best fight in boxing, et cetera, then it really probably is the best fight in boxing alongside a handful of other candidates you could give that mantle. So
Fundora is the other guy to beat in the division.
Yes, he is.
Ortiz got to beat that guy. He's going to face the guy for all the marbles.
Yep.
That's it. That's what it is. If he beats Kelly instead, doesn't derail the fight, but it doesn't. But the fight's not nearly as sexy as it would have been. Fundora is the golden pony right now, and if you let Boots get to him first, then not only did you play yourself, which you did, in a gamble. They took a gamble that
Yeah.
They took a gamble. They lost. Oscar got his boy back in the stable, and like you say, all's not lost. Ortiz lost that gamble, lost some time, lost position. But it's still there. Now people have to, and I say Oscar actually, has to be the guy to prove that even after you lost your gamble, this is why you should have never taken that gamble in the first place. Because I am a good fucking promoter. I do got the relationships. I can make the fights. And now let's go out here and make you undisputed and shut the fuck up.